Happy Monday and welcome to Screen Junkies Universe. Was that loud? Felt a little loud for me.
I don't know.
I hope it was enjoyable for you. I'm Roth Cornet. That's Joe Starr.
Good morning.
Roxy Striar is here.
Good morning.
Mr. Dan Murrell.
Hello.
We have some news to get through today in the world of entertainments, but first, let's fantasy cast a movie. Mark Hamill's perhaps doing that a little bit via a fan, and we're going to do this Twitter exchange between Mark Hamill and James Gunn, and then talk about when these like weird fan castings and odd public exchanges actually lead to results, because sometimes they do. So a fan reached out to James Gunn about putting Mark Hamill in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And we have the Twitter exchange between them. James Gunn says, I think Hamill himself lives around the corner from me in Malibu. That's fun. So he can just come over and we can talk about it over a cup of coffee. Hamill replied, I'll be happy to do so, both as a good neighbor and an unemployed actor. All the best, Mark Hamill. And I like that he signs it as if we don't already know that it's from Mark Hamill.
I think that's what they do when it's not their assistant.
Yeah,
like that's saying this is actually me.
This is actually me.
Yeah.
Also, that's how my mother uses Facebook Messenger and text and stuff like that. She'll write a full letter and then say, "Love, Mom."
I like that this is such like a between two parents exchange. So James Gunn, if we could pull it up again, James Gunn comes back and says, "Ha ha ha, let's do it." Hamill says, "DM me for my contact info if you're serious and a good neighbor." XOXO, Mark Hamill once again. Gunn says, and I also like the addition of the XOXO. It's getting more friendly as they get closer to a deal. Gunn says, yes, I will, although I don't think your DMs are open for me. And Hamill replies, just followed you. Is that how DMs work? Robert Kirkman.
I don't know either. That's a good question.
Robert Kirkman joins in, moving to Malibu. I think that's my favorite part of the
Solid
exchange.
Button.
Yeah.
Solid button on that exchange. I mean, DMs, I believe, are open to people that you are following unless you open them up to everybody.
Unless you open them up to everybody.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
There's a setting. I think. I don't know.
Why would you do that?
That's my bigger question. Why would you?
You like pain.
And two is that, obviously this is just kind of a fun Twitter exchange. But if you think about when Sam Jackson really wanted to be in Star Wars, he was just talking about it a lot publicly, and then he was. Helen Mirren said she wanted to be Fast and the Furious, then she was. I do think that sometimes these things bear fruit. Would this one, do you want it to? Would it be fun to have a Marvel Wars? Starvel?
Isn't that what we have?
Sure. Well, there's obviously the synergy with Disney at this point.
Who would he be?
I don't know, a Ravager?
I mean, I think the only thing you do with Mark Hamill in a Guardians of the Galaxy movie is very clearly make him old man Luke Skywalker and then just never acknowledge it. He's just an old man who is clearly Luke Skywalker, and that's it. That you just roll with that. You can even play with the idea that Star-Lord had seen A New Hope and maybe Empire before he left. I can't remember when he was kidnapped exactly. The soundtrack really kind of takes some liberties.
I get that.
Yeah, I think that's the only decision.
Maybe some voiceover actor. Like maybe we've got a little
That's
creature.
what I'm thinking. He's a little CGI guy running around.
He does great voices. Or what about just a straight up villain? He hasn't gotten to do a villain in live action, really, unless he has in some movie that I haven't seen.
You are forgetting his role in the film of a friend of Screen Junkies who we're sending best wishes to, Kevin Smith.
Oh, yes,
and Jay
thank
Silent
you.
Bob Strike Back as language warning. Cockknocker.
Yes.
Yes.
A great live action villain.
How
He
could
also
I forget
plays-
Cockknocker?
How could you forget Cockknocker?
He
But
also
I
plays
love Jay and
Trickster
Silent
in
Bob
The
Strike
Flash.
Back. Yeah, that's true. You're right. And what's even more shameful, I've seen all of those things. Yeah, and I actually have quote Jay and Silent Bob all the time. Speaking of which, Dan, thank you. You do well to remind us. Kevin Smith had a heart attack this weekend. He's recovering in the hospital. He's obviously been a frequent guest on Screen Junkies, and we
He had his own show.
wish him all the best and hope he heals rapidly. Yeah, man.
You're not done here yet, man.
Yeah, I hope he gets better soon. Take care of
hope so,
yourself.
too, yeah.
everybody.
It sounds like I think he's on the up and up, and
Yeah.
he'll be
Amen.
okay.
But it sounds like if he hadn't, and here's, look, I do not listen to me about most things, including and most importantly, medical advice. However, like I think that the thing that he did was listen to his body, and that's probably what we should all do more often. And he canceled the second show and went to the hospital. He knew something was really wrong. So we hope he gets better really soon, and that maybe he joins Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Also
Everybody.
with that.
Bring
Let's just put everybody in.
Jay,
everybody.
Silent Bob, and Cockknocker.
And Cockknocker.
And Cock.
Yeah.
Is
So
it
he should come in
inappropriate? I
as
have that song in my
Cockknocker.
head. Listen to your heart.
How do you like
No.
them apples?
It's educational that you have that in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
applesauce, bitch. I love that line. I still
great.
continue to love it.
Oh, I don't like the sound of them apples. Well, what are we gonna do? Yeah, I don't know.
Applesauce, bitch.
Classic.
All right, so I think we've agreed that we would like to see Mark Hamill only as cockblocker or as old Luke Skywalker.
Or as,
Because why not?
He vanished from Crate and he showed up in some weird, colorful Marvel planet.
He does do a
We
great
need a
villain, though,
wormhole.
as we've also
Does a fantastic
established,
villain.
both animated
Villain,
and live action. So I don't know. I'm all for Mark Hamill as a straight up villain in Guardians 3. James Gunn, you heard it here first. Come to us for all
Well,
your
actually, you
story
heard it on
ideas.
Twitter a little bit.
Well,
The villain
But
part.
we endorse it.
Yeah.
well, we've endorsed it
Yeah.
here. 25th.
So we all know that James Gunn cannot do anything without our explicit
Yes,
endorsement.
he's watching us right now, as is Mark. Hey, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Other news, quick news updates. Rush Hour 4 is confirmed. I know you guys are relieved to hear that.
So excited.
Chris Tucker is going to join Jackie Chan in Rush Hour 4, confirmed on the ESPN podcast, The Plug. Where
you
he
go for
said,
all of your movie news.
Yes, where you
Yes.
go to. Movie
course.
news could be anywhere right
It's
now.
true.
In the garbage can around the corner, who knows? It's definite. It's happening, he said. This is going to be the one, the rush of all rushes. This is Chris Tucker. Jackie is ready, and we want to do this so that people won't ever forget this. All right.
I got to tell you, something about this makes me feel like it's not going to to be the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if
in
he,
the air.
yeah, or if it's happening. Like
Yeah.
part of me's just like Chris Tucker was like, yeah, it's gonna happen. Just somewhere Jackie
there's a-
Chan's like, what?
I think there's a big central figure that could perhaps impede this from progressing. Just a guess. I think there's some pieces that Chris Tucker might not have considered completely that
Yeah.
have changed recently.
Yeah.
That might have
Just
something to do with
possibly.
it. Just a guess.
Yeah. Should we talk around the thing or just
I
say the
don't-
things?
I guess you do it, Roth.
No.
Then we talk around.
Okay. Very well.
No.
Yeah.
Will this be the
but
Logan of Rush
could
Hour
be-
movies?
This could be the other case, another case in which an actor is kind of trying to put something out in the. I mean, that's not what happened with Mark Hamill and James Gunn. That was via a fan.
Sure.
But sometimes actors, I think, do try to put things out in the public because they want to push them forward.
Well, I'm sure he and
Definitely.
Jackie Chan probably had a great time
Yeah.
making the 3 Rush Hours. So when someone brings up Rush Hours, like, yeah, Jackie and I would love to do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they would.
Brett
but-
Ratner is the thing,
Yeah,
by the
Brett
way.
Ratner is a little.
That's
is,
the
I know you
factor.
do it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
I mean, that is the thing. That's like,
yeah.
yeah.
What? No.
I guess you get a different.
Guys, what Brett Ratner do?
Okay.
Nah,
I guess you
oh,
just
Joe.
get a different. I don't know.
But
Maybe we have Jackie Chan direct the movie. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Speaking
actually
of
rim
Brett
shots.
Ratner, related but unrelated, the Weinstein Company is going into bankruptcy. There was an attempt to sell the assets to an investor group, but it looks like that has since fallen apart, and they are now likely going to head into bankruptcy. So, okay.
Cool. I think they should take the Weinstein Company on a Shark Tank.
To
That is my
rework
solution.
it.
Hey, sharks! I'd like to introduce you to the Weinstein Company.
I know one contingency that I would need to buy it.
yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
the name change.
Yes,
Yeah.
big old
Yeah.
name change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it should go on Shark Tank, and I want to see Mr. Wonderful and Barbara just like go to war for the Weinstein Company.
What does bankruptcy mean for the lawsuits that are taking place?
Well, bankruptcy protection generally means that they wouldn't necessarily have to pay that.
Pay a
I don't
lot of
know,
those
yeah,
things.
pay
Then-
out all those losses.
then
But
who
those
is
are
the
personal
insurance
lawsuits.
companies?
Those are,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the
Because I
legalese
know
of it.
I know that there was the district attorney already made sure that there was money put aside for that or something along those lines. So I wonder even how much bankruptcy affects anything at this point.
I'm sure there's a whole legal team that's
yeah.
sorting
Yeah.
that out. I mean, this was I was kind of following along with this, and I know they tried to salvage it and sell it to. Well, if we sell it to this group, then maybe they can take the. But I mean, it's such damaged goods. Like, how do you
Cut your
even,
losses at some point.
Yeah, how do
Yeah.
you
Even if you change the name, it's
Because
like
a lot of the value was in the name, you know. I mean, it certainly was in the talents of the people that worked there.
Those people
and I'm
will
not.
find other jobs.
I hope so. God.
Yeah.
But it was largely the brand name of Weinstein had come to tell people what kind of movie you're going to get. They were really great at marketing and Oscar campaigns. That's, the things that the company. Well, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they were already offloading. They offloaded Paddington 2.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the reasons that Paddington 2
Warner
perhaps
Brothers.
underperformed here in the United States, was that there was such a late push. Warner Brothers bought it late. Publicity promotion wasn't what it could have been or should have been. Simply for that reason, was that that movie was in a position where, like, well, we can't and won't go out underneath this company's banner, so it got
Yeah,
sold.
not that charming little bear.
No, not that charming little bear, but
No.
yeah,
Roth
it's
is so protective over that
Yes.
in a
a
way it's
wonderful
kind of good. I think in a way it's kind of good, not in the sense of, like, obviously if you work there, it's awful because, you know, but it also is kind of the end of a very significant era and the end of a very high profile name in Hollywood that went from being associated with prestige and
At least in job interviews, you probably don't have to really explain yourself, like
Yeah.
why
Right.
you're searching.
Yeah.
It's on your resume, and they're just like, okay.
like I got you.
Yeah.
Got it.
These are the only job interviews with start out with. So how you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
How you
Yeah.
feeling? You okay?
You good?
You doing good?
How
All
are-
right. How
I
are
think the
you?
interesting story will be what kind of rolls in to take its place. Like, what's going to be the next sort of prestige powerhouse company? Like, whose company is it going to be? Is it going to be like sort of a
Conglomerate.
conglomerate, sort of a collection or a collective of actors and creators? I don't know. It's interesting.
I mean,
If I'm another
A24
production company, I'm thinking about snapping up this talent.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's
A24 is
talent.
a good-
A24
Yeah.
is a great company on the rise. The streaming companies are on the rise. Amazon, you know, they have Big Sick this year, and they have Manchester by the Sea, and so it is very much an open market right now for who's going to kind of come in and fill these voids.
Yeah, why doesn't Apple just buy all of them, like the team, and then use them to develop their content?
Apple
We'll see.
Movies, yeah.
Apple Movies. Speaking of
boy.
movies, one of the movies highly in the conversation this year was Phantom Thread. Lots of big fans of that film, though it's not getting a ton of Oscar.
I mean, it's the Best Picture
It's
nominee.
a Best Picture nominee, but it's not largely in the. We're
Not
going to
gonna
do
win.
our predictions later this week, but it's probably not going to win. There are a few things that are in the conversation to win, either Three Billboards or Shape of Water, or maybe Sneak Attack, Dunkirk. We'll see. Jennifer Lawrence was on Mark Maron's WTF podcast and had the following to say about Phantom Thread. Quote, I got through about 3 minutes of it. I put in a good solid 3. I'm sorry to anybody who loved that movie. I couldn't give it that kind of time. It was 3 minutes and I was just, ugh. Is this just about clothes? Is Reynolds kind of like this narcissistic sociopath and he's an artist, so every girl falls in love with him because he makes her feel bad about herself, and that's the love story? I haven't seen it, so I don't know, but I've been down that road. I know what that's like. I don't need to watch that movie. And then she laughed. Roxy, thoughts?
I concur wholeheartedly, and I watched the whole movie. You guys know this is the most mediocre movie that ever was, and I finished it, and I feel very similarly. And I know, based on the ending, people don't feel like there was that one-sided power dynamic, and that's fine. This movie's just okay. It's just the most overrated movie possibly of all time. How could this
come
be
on.
nominated for an Oscar? It's baffling. The costumes are pretty. I'm so sick and tired of people talking about this film. I'm so glad she said this because I've been getting so much hate and everybody's like, are you kidding? Everybody loves this movie if you have a brain. I have a brain.
You have a beautiful brain.
Thank you so
Roxy.
much.
Yes.
At least you watched it
You have
I
a
did.
beautiful brain. I do
before
think
publicly bashing
I
it.
do think what's interesting, well, they obviously asked her. I mean, I do think what's interesting about what she's saying here, though, in terms of like, I've lived that, I don't need to see that, is does it feel like she's maybe talking about another filmmaker who made a movie that might be about his own creative process this past year?
I mean, she said that
Darren
it wasn't.
Aronofsky and Mother.
She said it wasn't. I don't know. I think it's people in unwatchable movies shouldn't throw stones, but that's just you know, she had trouble slogging through Phantom Thread, and that's maybe kind of how I felt slogging through Mother, because I certainly didn't enjoy that movie either.
I think she'd be okay with you saying that,
Yeah.
honestly.
But again, it's this kind of thing. The thing is like the question she's asking about the movie is kind of what is resolved at the end of the movie in a way. So she got the setup right, which is good. Also, I'd like to go back and watch the first 3 minutes because I don't think that all of that was set up. I think she might have brought something into that movie, perhaps, that wasn't there in the first 3 minutes.
Well,
What do
she
you
probably
think,
got through more than 3, is my guess.
Did she have a screener of it and she was watching it, or and then
Probably.
just turned it off, or did she go to the movies?
Oh, I'm sure she
and
had a
walked
screener
out?
and turned it off. I'm sure she had a screener and turned it off. She didn't go and then leave. I mean, she had the Academy screeners.
3 minutes is so early
She's
to leave
Academy
a
Award
film.
winner.
Yeah,
It
it'd be
really
really
is.
baller to do though. That's a pretty
I'm
power
out.
move.
Lauren,
Just like-
No, I almost never just fully give up, but there was a movie, and I'm not going to call it out because it was a little indie movie earlier this year that I watched about 15 minutes of, and I just could not get through it.
No.
No, it was not for me, which doesn't mean it was bad. It was just not for me. What do you think, Joe?
I've never walked out of a movie completely, but I did leave Revenge of the Sith for about 15 minutes. That was the first time I was in a movie that I can remember that I was in a movie theater and realized, oh, this is bad. Okay, yeah, this is bad.
Have you
know?
ever seen it in full?
Yeah, I have seen it
Okay,
in full.
since then,
But like, I can't remember what scene it was.
Say, what drove you out, Joe?
I can't remember the scene now, but maybe it was Order 66 and just a bunch of people going, "I'm being shot," like very casually, and then falling over. But I left for about 15 minutes and was just angry in the lobby, and then eventually went back in and just rolled my eyes through it.
Yeah. I mean, this is interesting. Obviously, this is spreading around because Phantom Thread is an Academy Award nominated film. It's
How?
it's Daniel Day-Lewis's
Some
final
people consider it to be a
performance.
really good movie.
Yeah.
Everybody considers it to be a really good movie. I don't get
It's
it.
such a long discussion. Like, my take on Phantom Thread is too complicated to get here, but I feel like I see all of the perspectives. It's a beautifully crafted movie. It's got a character that is and is not what is described here.
I didn't
but
watch it.
You didn't watch it?
No, I didn't even give it the 3 minutes. I sort of read the synopsis and I was like, nah, I'm good.
Find something better to do with your time.
Yeah, no, I watched.
no, you should see it because most people love it.
No,
And
I
obviously
watched.
there's something there.
I watched Man of Steel 7 times.
I think it elicits a
Instead.
powerful response, whether it's love or hate, right? It's
Who's hating on it?
a lot of people.
Really?
Yeah.
My
Find
number
them.
is. Just kidding. My DMs are not open.
Find your tribe.
Find your tribe. There's a lot of people because, anyway, it's interesting what she says here. Obviously, she was asked about it, and then the quote is going to go everywhere. So I understand what you're saying. Like, she's making an assessment without seeing it, but her assessment is 3 minutes in, and I'm not interested, is the assessment in a way, which very well. There's an independent film coming out on March 9th that's actually quite good, though, and that I encourage everybody to go see. This is called Thoroughbreds. It is starring Ready Player One's Olivia Cook and Split's Anya Taylor-Joy, as well as The Witch's Anya Taylor-Joy, which she's just everywhere right now.
She's magic in New
She's going to be
Mutants.
magic and mute. Thank you, Joe.
I think that's her real name. It's such a actressy perfect name.
Anya
Like
Taylor-Joy.
if you're
Taylor-Joy.
born with that name, you've got to be a performer.
Yeah, I don't know if it's her real name, actually. I
Yeah,
have no
Anya
idea.
Taylor-Joy was not destined to be an accountant.
No,
Yeah.
for sure not. For
Yeah.
sure not.
Although I do like the pocket universe in which she is like the world's most interesting accountant. This movie also features Anton Yelchin's final performance. This is the final performance he did before he passed away. And we were able to speak to the director, Corey Finley, of the film. And he is a very interesting guy. He talks about Anton's kind of legacy in the film itself and the performance between the two women. I really think that you like this movie. I think everybody should see it. It's about sociopathy and what humanity is and what it is to have feelings and what any of that actually means and whether it makes you a good or bad person, and murder and friendship and horses.
Is there a
Take a
reason
look.
that I
Sold.
particularly will like this film?
Yes.
Because you have done a murder before.
And horses.
Because of the horses and the murder.
Got it, got
For
it.
him,
Cool.
it's the sociopathy and the humanity. And for you, it's Anton Yelchin. So everybody has a reason to watch this movie. And you guys have a reason for sure to watch us talk to Corey Finley right now. Welcome, Screen Junkies. We are so delighted today, and by we, I mean the royal we, me, to be joined by Corey Finley, the director of Thoroughbreds. This is your directorial debut, opening on March 9th, and I highly encourage all of you to go see it because this is a pretty great film. This is starring Olivia Cooke, who people may know from the upcoming Ready Player One, and Bates Motel, if you're me. And Anya Taylor-Joy, people may know from The Witch. And what else would she be largely? Oh, Split largely known for.
X-Men, New Mutants coming out.
Many wonderful things. And very sadly, Anton Yelchin in his final performance before he tragically passed away. This is a really interesting film. I was trying to think of how to describe it for the audience. And largely people were saying, oh, it's Heathers meets American Psycho with shades of The Shining. Do you like those likenings? Is there one you prefer?
I do. I'll take them. I think it's sometimes a hard movie to describe, and I think those comparisons can be helpful for people to get their brains around. Both Heathers and American Psycho were movies that I saw many years ago and that were not necessarily conscious influences, but they were definitely rattling around in my head somewhere.
These are two young women who are in their late adolescence, senior year of high school, it feels to me. It's never explicitly said, but that's what it feels like, who have been friends when they were kids, had a split, and they've come back together. And I don't know how much I really want to tell people other than that.
Yeah, I always think the fewer spoilers, the better, and the secrets start coming, pretty heavy, pretty early on. But yeah, they get into a sort of a plot of sorts together, and violence and madness and manipulation ensues.
It's also kind of about the nature of sociopathy and what that is and who is or is not a sociopath and what it even means about how you behave in the world, which I thought was interesting. And a lot of people are associating that with class. Is that, I mean, these are young women that are very well off in Connecticut. Is that purposeful?
Yeah, I think I personally have a very thorny, conflicted relationship with wealth. I think I associate it with like calm and safety, and I love being in. Even when I was like in high school, I would love going over to my friend that had their biggest houses, that had the pools and the crazy game systems, and there's just sort of a soothing calm to wealth, which is always funny because I feel like there's also kind of a hidden violence to it, and it is, as our culture has evolved, like the power to go beat someone over the head with a stick and take what they have has sort of evolved into the less directly violent but still very kind of hierarchical system of wealth. So that was one of the things that I was interested in exploring in the movie, and definitely interested in sort of what makes a morally normal person, and whether some of the things that we think about as not normal, some of the things we think about as normal within our own society might be less normal than we think.
So that I think is where wealth comes in, because if people are told over and over again that they're more important, just if I'm solicitous to you all the time and everyone around you is solicitous to you because you're in an environment of wealth, you're going to start to think that that's what you deserve.
Yeah.
More than me, who's constantly solicitous to you.
Absolutely. You start to see yourself as, we all see ourselves as the main characters in our own movies.
Sure.
But I think particularly when you're in an environment where people are paid to serve you in different ways, you start to see your consciousness is more important than the consciousness of other people.
Which I don't want to give sort of the wrong impression that this is like a big political diatribe. It's not. It's very much a relationship film about a relationship between two young women. The relationship between women is so complicated. And there's so much nuance to it. It's very rarely captured well. It was captured really well by Sofia Coppola in The Beguiled Isaiah this year, but also really well here. So did you talk to a lot of adolescent girls?
Yeah, well, I think I've always been really interested by the sort of women in my life. And I think, like, particularly younger women, I think at the risk of overgeneralizing that women develop an emotional intelligence or just an ability to bond with people at a deeper level earlier than men do. I speak as a boy who had like total, friendships based on the dumbest stuff all through high school, but I think I would always was sort of fascinated by my older sister, who was like much cooler than me in high school, and sort of her relationships with her friend, and my girlfriend's relationships with some of her, particularly with her earliest friends, sort of her high school friends. She still has very long-lasting and very kind of complex and full of history relationships with all of them. And then just our two lead actresses, I think, really fleshed out the roles. And even before we started shooting, we had a little bit of a chance to all sit down in a room with the script and kind of talk through the characters' backstory and where they were going in the movie, and to make a few changes to the script and just to kind of really fit it to those two actors in particular. So their own experiences of that age, I think, came into the movie.
It was interesting and very sad in a way to watch their performances, Olivia Cook and Anya Taylor-Joy, who are on this uptick in their career, right? They're rising stars, both of them. And then Anton Yelchin, who was such a bright light in his final performance. Can you talk a little bit about working with him on set and the kind of relationship that you had?
He was an amazing, just sort of overall artist, and really, as soon as we started talking about the movie and he read the script, he had all these, I think, the kind of influences that he wanted to bring to his performance that often you'd be expected to have as a director, or as a, he had sort of films that he loved throughout history that he saw. He could sort of take the rhythm from this sort of school of acting and this performance, and he could take kind of a particular style of dress and an affectation from another great performance, and had an incredibly encyclopedic knowledge of film. It was very rigorous in kind of the way he prepared for the character and the questions he asked. And then the cool thing was when he was on set, all the sort of rigorousness fell away, and he was incredibly playful and spontaneous, and did probably more improvisation than anyone else on the set. And really just sort of continued to put his stamp on that character and to energize the whole set while he was on there. And he only shot for something like 4 or 5 days, but he was just such a presence and such a guiding emotional factor on set. So,
what do you think that it means for this to be his final performance?
I don't know. I guess I don't think too much about that, but I think he has an amazing career, and had a chance to watch a bunch of his movies beforehand and after, and he's worked with such cool people. He's done such a sort of diverse array of movies in different genres. He was an amazing photographer too. He has an exhibit that I'm not sure when it closes, but was open in New York for a while, and I think people will continue to discover nooks and crannies of his work and appreciate what a unique presence he was, and what a body of work he put together as such a young guy.
Yeah, and I was thinking he's such a model for them too.
Yeah.
Because he was able to do Green Room and Star Trek.
Yes, exactly.
And it feels like that's perhaps the balance they're looking to strike, big films that then will allow them to go do whatever smaller films they may want to do in a way. It always feels like that's the way to do it.
Yeah, when you can work that balance, that's impressive.
As is the tradition, I have to imagine that you're now taking meetings for like Jurassic World 3 since you premiered at Sundance.
I'm certainly interested in movies that can reach a lot of people. I don't think I'll be doing a Jurassic Park sequel quite this year or anytime soon, but no, I'm definitely interested in larger movies and also in kind of smaller, intimate stories. I think it just depends on the story you want to tell. And I do think it's been a cool year to see filmmakers that I really love taking beloved franchise material and kind of putting their own stamp on it while remaining true to what fans love so much about the franchise.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you do next.
Thank you.
But first, you guys need to go see Thoroughbreds on March 9th.